So Xavien Howard, the Colts secondary, I mean, where do you even want to start with this conversation? And right off the bat, I'm sure you could sense there's a level of aggravation in my voice to even set the stage, to even express to you why I would be so upset right now. You have to understand the trajectory of this Colts secondary, starting at where they were at the beginning of last season. Going into last season, you were a defense that was degrading under Gus Bradley, a secondary that was relying on guys by the names of Dallas Flowers, who was coming off a torn Achilles and performed so well for the Colts that he went from starting to cut by the team within a week or two of the season starting. You were relying on guys in Darrell Baker Jr., who was in his second year as an undrafted rookie, whose first year with the Cardinals went so well that he was an Indianapolis Colt in his second year. He, by what feels like maybe the first month of the season, was buried in your depth chart. And what the Colts did going into last season, in hindsight, 2020 being for sure, but many people said at the time, was complete malpractice at the cornerback position. This was going into last year. So now you fast forward to this offseason and you say, this team has learned from its mistakes. They get rid of Gus Bradley. They bring in Lou Anarumo as their defensive coordinator, who not only is a new defensive coordinator and a change of pace from Gus Bradley, but also a guy whose career started as defensive backs coach. So his roots building up to becoming a defensive coordinator were because of an expertise in the secondary. They brought in a guy named Chris Hewitt from the Baltimore Ravens, who had been coaching that secondary for over a decade. Great secondaries, great players in that Baltimore secondary. And you look and you say, between Chris Hewitt and Lou Anarumo, Smooth Lou Gabagoo, out of Staten Island, New York, they sign Cam Bynum. They bring in Charvarius Ward. You draft Justin Wally in the third round, who we're going to get to. You still have Kenny Moore. You have Jalen Jones, who just kept getting better and better for you as a seventh-round pick 2 years ago. And you had Juju Brents, who sure hadn't been able to stay healthy, but relying on him as a fourth guy or so, and a guy who has performed generally well when he's on the field. You went from being depressed about the Colts secondary to viewing it as something that perhaps had upside to be one of the biggest strengths of this team. Like the sorry, gullible fucking fan of the Indianapolis Colts that you are. And when I say you, I'm basically talking about me. I mean, we were excited about the secondary, and then whoosh, in come the injuries, as they seemingly always do. I have no proof to that. I simply have my emotions in my gut. But I know this year, right now, the Colts are one of the more injured teams in football. I don't know if that's true all the time in years past. Justin Wally, that third-round rookie that I was talking about, was performing so well in training camp that he had, at least in Lou Anarumo's eye, who was what matters, he's the new defensive coordinator, had overtaken Jalen Jones for the outside corner spot. He tears his ACL, the fellow Justin. Gosh, I mean, we can't ever win, can we, the Justins? I mean, look what goes on with Justin Bieber. That kid is going through a tough time, but neither here nor there. Back to what I'm talking about. The Justins, a tough year for the Justins. Hunter Waller, seventh-round rookie who was exceeding expectations in training camp. We lose him for the season to a Liz Frank. I mean, I'll tell you what, I'm not a doctor. I don't know who Liz Frank is. But, I mean, I don't like the bitch. She took Hunter Waller for the entire season, the whole year. I mean, that's like your friend gets married, and he's with his girl all the time. You never talk to him again. I mean, we know we lost you to brunch on Sundays. Like, you're not going to watch on Sundays with us anymore, but we don't even get you for Thursday night football. Like, we can't even get Hunter Waller. At some point, we lose him for the season. I mean, that's what Liz Frank did to Hunter Waller. She took him right from our grasp. And you look and you say, after all of the things that the Colts did to try to bring a burst of talent, new life into the secondary, the football gods just absolutely struck them down, and then enter Xavien Howard. And Xavien Howard, it's almost the least of the conversation. Like that, it's the reason I come in with aggravation in the face of a signing like Xavien Howard is that the very reason you're signing Xavien Howard is due to misfortune in the secondary. Now, whether or not he's going to work for us, what that looks like, how that happens, that in of itself is a conversation. The potential implications it has again of the unknown health status overall of Jalen Jones and Juju Brents. That's another thing that we can talk about. We'll talk about it all. But before we do, you know what it is? I got to introduce the show. My name is Justin. This right here is the Ride the Bench Colts podcast. As always, ask anyone watching and enjoying the show. Go ahead, shoot a like. It's going to help me get out to as many Colts fans as humanly possible. Of course, subscribe if you want to be a part of the journey. We're on our way to 4,000 subscribers over here on the YouTube channel. So if you keep coming back and join the show, perhaps it's your first day here and you're saying, hey, not too bad. Hit that subscribe button. Never miss another episode again. Audio listeners, I did not forget about you. Leave a 5-star review. No, really. I'm asking you, please. If you listen to the show on the audio version, help me reach as many people as humanly possible on that side of things. Let them know you enjoy it. 5 stars. You don't even have to say anything if you don't want to. Of course, if you leave a review, I'll read it. But at the same time, if you just leave the 5 stars, that helps all the same. Of course, if you're engaging in the comment section on YouTube, be civil with one another. We're all rooting for the same thing. It's the Indianapolis Colts. That's why you're here. That's why I'm here in my room behind the microphone talking about the team. We're rooting for the Colts. So if you disagree with someone in the comment section, take it as an opportunity to further the discussion. There's no need to be mean to one another. There's plenty of other places if you're into getting berated that you could find a way to make that happen for yourself. Here does not have to be one of the places. But without further ado, let's go back into the signing of Xavien Howard and what that could mean for the Colts secondary. Let me just say this about Xavien Howard, just kind of to give him his fair due, right? Before we talk about the Colts side of it. He was spectacular for the Miami Dolphins in 2022. Like, he was so good. Understand, I'm from Long Island, New York, and I feel like I always find a way, by the way, to plug that I'm not from Indiana. But here's another way I'm doing it, okay? Xavien Howard was so good that in 2022, when he signed his contract with the Miami Dolphins, I saw that news break at a local 7-Eleven, which is 1,000 miles north, 1,500 miles north of where he was playing. And they didn't have ESPN on the TV. Like, it was like Fox or CBS or something like that. I mean, him signing a contract, he was that caliber of player where him signing that contract was broad NFL news to the point where I would have been getting it at the 7-Eleven. The only reason I tell you that story is to express to you, this is a guy who's very good. And sure, there's uncertainties about where he's at right now, but there are very few corners in the world who have gotten to the level of an Xavien Howard in their career, or Charvarius Ward, which is kind of what makes this interesting. Like, you talk about this room 2 years ago, it sounds elite, right? And right now, one side of that's still elite. The other side is a guy in Xavien Howard who's 22, or rather not 22 years old. We wish. He's 32 years old. That's part of the problem. He was great in 2022. He was cut in the 2023 season beforehand, whatever. The timeline, really not important. The fact is that he got his contract. They felt he wasn't living up to it. He then plays 0 snaps in the NFL in the year 2024. And now on August 18th, just around 3 weeks away from the start of the regular season, I believe in 3 weeks, they'll be doing the preparation for that first game against the Miami Dolphins. And you're relying on a guy who has not played football since 2023 to come in and potentially make an impact. That's the state of your corner room right now. Now, in all fairness, Lou Anarumo was so smooth as he is to point out the fact that, sure, some people may look at that and say it's a disadvantage, but on the other side, you could look at it and say that his years had a leg off as a corner at 32 years old. I'm paraphrasing. I'm adding a little bit to what he said, but that's ultimately what he was getting at. Now, Lou said this a little tongue-in-cheek, but at the same time, the way a joke like that is even funny is because there's some teeth to the actual point that's being made. That's not nothing. It's true. As the miles add up in the NFL, you could maybe use a little time to refresh yourself. That's quite possible. But either way, right now, you do look at Xavien Howard and say, well, okay, with the injury to Justin Wally, with Jalen Jones and Juju Brents with hamstring injuries that this organization will never give you a timetable on for whatever reason that is. It's like in hockey, right? When a guy goes down in hockey, they say he has a lower leg injury, and that's it. They say fuck you after that. There's nothing else matters about that injury. They're not going to give you the satisfaction. The Colts, much the same. I mean, we don't know, but signing Xavien Howard is a move that on the surface doesn't bode well to the health status of Jalen Jones and Juju Brents. You'd have to assume if you expected both of them to be healthy by the regular season opener, you would not have to make a move like this. Now, Xavien Howard, this is going to go one of two ways for the Indianapolis Colts, right? You're going to have a guy who either resurrects his career in some capacity or kind of proves that it was supposed to be over, right? Like he wasn't with the team for a reason. That's going to go one of two ways. But make no mistake about it, Xavien Howard was an all-pro, Pro Bowl level talent in this league not that long ago, and you don't forget how to play football. Sometimes you forget how to speak, as I just sat there and had a little blunder with my words, but you don't forget how to play the game of football. The question is, can he keep up from an athleticism and speed standpoint at this point? That's going to be the question for Xavien Howard. But as of right now, the football gods strike down on the Indianapolis Colts in the secondary. It's the Colts once upon a time, not that long ago, they sinned against the football gods, right? And you could infer whatever I'm saying from what that is. They sinned against the football gods, and the football gods spoke to their people, their minions that carry out the deeds, right? And they said the Colts shall not have a quarterback. And that went totally as they demanded. But those minions, upon communicating with each other, because they're the ones that have to take out the day-to-day, some of them communicated to one another like a game of telephone. They said the Colts shall not have a cornerback. Thus, the Colts find themselves in the situation they're in now, where they can't have a quarterback or a cornerback. It was lost in translation. Either way, the Colts are in like a minor bit of a crisis potentially here in the secondary. You don't want to overreact, but again, it's August 18th. They play on September 7th. We have a couple weeks, and in comes Xavien Howard, who didn't play a snap of football in the year 2024. And, we'll see. I mean, listen, here's the thing. With a guy like him, I mean, again, he's played very, very good football in this league. So if the Colts can stay 500 early in the year as he gets back up to speed, perhaps he's a guy that after the first month of the season, I mean, really, if he surprises us, it could happen right away. But let's give him the benefit of the doubt and say he's going to have to work back into playing shape. Well, okay, by the second month of the season, you have a guy when we're playing real meaningful football that is able to contribute something. And by the way, all football is meaningful football. If you've ever wondered why you're such a fan of football, that is primarily the reason. 16 games means they all count. That's why it's better than basketball, baseball, hockey, the whole deal. Those games, half of them don't even matter. Football every single week counts, but neither here nor there. Xavien Howard to the Indianapolis Colts. I was hardly able to stay focused on that episode because it's almost less about the signing of Xavien Howard, and it's more about the circumstances that led to it. But we're going to see what happens with them. It goes one of two ways. He either outperforms our expectations or, he has to come in and be serviceable, does he not? I don't know. Maybe I'm grasping at straws. Tell me what you think about the Xavien Howard signing. That's where I'm at. This is somewhat reactionary. It's early. Maybe once I sit there, marinate with it, chew on it a little bit, it'll, I'll have some different thoughts. But for right now, I'm kind of just looking at the secondary and saying, oh, gosh, the signing of Xavien Howard it makes me scared that guys like Jalen Jones and Juju Brents are not recovering maybe in a way that would bode well for their week one status. And now we have a guy off the couch, right? But all right, that's an episode. Until next time, my name is Justin. This right here was the Ride the Bench Colts podcast. Like, subscribe if you have not yet. And as always, go Colts.